Welcome to geoffmobile.com. Today I'm going to show you how to make green salsa brown rice with chicken. This is a lovely Mexican rice dish. First, I added some olive oil into the Instant Pot and I put it onto saute mode on normal. We're going to wait for this pot to fully heat up before adding the chicken. I'm seasoning the chicken with some salt and pepper. This will make a really nice flavor. Just add a bit more salt on there as well. This dish goes really well with tortilla soup or other Mexican style dishes such as burritos. It's a nice side dish or can be a meal on its own. Now the pot is hot. I'm going to add the chicken and place it in the bottom of the Instant Pot with the olive oil. We want to brown the chicken on both sides for about 2 or 3 minutes on each side. It doesn't have to be fully cooked because we're going to actually put it back in the Instant Pot later, but this is just to generate some flavor on the chicken. So after I've got the chicken kind of made contact with the bottom of the pot, I'm going to let it cook without stirring it for about 2 minutes just to start browning some of that chicken. I'll set a timer on the microwave. Just for about 2 or 3 minutes on one side, and then I'll switch over to the other side. After 2 minutes, just use the tongs and flip the chicken onto the other side. You can see that it's not fully browned. There's still some pink areas, but that's okay because we are going to put the whole chicken with the rice under pressure at the end of the dish. Alright, so set that for another 2 minutes and let that sear and brown. Now that the chicken is partially browned on both sides, I'm going to remove it from the Instant Pot onto a plate and set it aside. So I'll just pull out all the big chicken pieces. It's okay if a few small bits of chicken are still left in the Instant Pot. Alright, so I'm going to set that aside. The next step is I'm going to add the onions, and the onions will absorb the flavor of the chicken browning bits and the chicken juice, and it will be really nice. So onions can get very flavorful. So you want to saute the onions for about 1 or 2 minutes, but keep stirring it so that they don't burn. And I did find that I wanted to add a little bit of chicken broth at this stage just to help deglaze the pot a little bit. At this stage I really like to stir it and keep stirring it and scraping the bottom of the Instant Pot to release the flavors. By the way, this video is being recorded in 3D 180 VR virtual reality. So if you happen to have a virtual reality headset, you can watch this video on your VR headset and see it actually in 3D. So this is an experiment to cook from above. So next I'm going to add just a tiny bit of chicken broth, maybe 1 teaspoon or tablespoon chicken broth, and continue scraping the bottom of the pot, which will release all those flavors from the brown chicken. Keep scraping until pretty much all the bits are scraped up and the onions are softened. In 3D you can actually see the steam rising and coming up towards the camera, so it's quite a unique viewpoint to cook from above. Right, so those onions are looking pretty good. Let's add the garlic next. So I've got some minced garlic. I'll drop that in. And you don't want to overcook the garlic, just stir it in and maybe maximum 30 seconds of cooking. Keep scraping the bottom of the pot to scrape up all the chicken bits. And at this point, you want to turn the Instant Pot off because we're going to be adding the dry spices next and we don't want them to burn. Alright, so we're going to be adding our cumin and coriander, 1 tablespoon each, and our salt as well. Actually, I have to check the recipe whether it's 1 tablespoon or 1 teaspoon each of cumin and coriander, but I think it's a teaspoon each. It's really good to have those ingredients in your recipe. If you want to make this recipe really spicy, you could add green chilies as well, but I prefer without the green chilies. It's spicy enough with the salsa. So what I've got here is I've got 1 cup of chicken broth, and I'm going to be adding a whole can of fairly spicy green salsa. And the idea is you want to increase the liquid up to the amount of liquid we want for the recipe, which I believe is 2.5 cups or 3.5 cups. I'll need to check the recipe again after this time, but you want to make sure that the liquid is the right amount of liquid for the amount of rice you're going to be adding. So in this case, because I'm adding 2 cups of brown rice, I believe I want 3.5 cups of liquid total. But I'll check that with the recipe below. And to check the ingredients below this video for the correct amount of liquid that you want to add. But the idea is you want to just fill up your measuring cup with liquid so that the combination of the green salsa and the chicken broth equals the amount of liquid that you need for your rice. So I'm going to dump in the liquid now into the pot. And I'm going to give that a bit of a stir. Again, make sure you scrape up all the bottom bits on the bottom of the Instant Pot. That will help it from burning. And the real trick to this recipe, anytime you're cooking rice in the Instant Pot, you don't want the rice to be touching the bottom of the pot, because when it's starting to build up pressure, the rice will actually burn. So the trick for this recipe is that you want to layer in the chicken below the rice, and once you add the chicken and the rice on top, you don't want to stir the pot because that will cause the rice to mix in and touch the bottom of the pot, resulting in a burn message. So in this case, what I want to do is, once I scrape up all the bits on the bottom, I'll carefully place my chicken pieces on the bottom of the Instant Pot in kind of like a layer. And I want that layer to be protecting the rice from, too much of the rice from touching the bottom of the pot and burning. So make a nice layer, evenly distribute the chicken on the bottom of the pot. And then on top of the chicken, oh yeah, another thing is you want to add those chicken juices in there as well. And then carefully just dump the rice right on top of the chicken, but remember, do not stir, because then that way, by leaving that layer of chicken below the rice, your dish is really highly unlikely to burn on the bottom, which is one of the biggest challenges I've had with the Instant Pot. Is if you put anything starchy right on the bottom of the pot, it will usually have a burn message. So to solve that problem, you want that protective layer of chicken below the rice. And just gently stab the top of the rice. Don't stir it, just kind of stab it a little bit so the liquid covers the top of the rice. So now wipe the top of the pot with the rag to make a better seal, and make sure your silicone sealing ring is in place. Pop on that lid and make sure it closes properly. Make sure your sealing dial is set to seal, and set it at high pressure for 27 minutes. And we'll come back in about 27 minutes, or actually longer than that, because it has to take time to heat up as well. And we'll see what it's like when it's cooked. Alright, so we've allowed the Instant Pot to fully release the pressure on its own. So you can see the valve has dropped down, so that takes another half an hour or so after the cooking cycle completes for it to release the pressure. You can see that it is well cooked. Before I stir it, I'm just going to dump in the white beans. And now I'll stir it up really well, mix it together. And you can see that rice and the chicken, just a lovely flavor, and it's a really nice side dish for any Mexican meal that you might be having. I don't know if this is really authentic Mexican food, but it is a nice, maybe American style Mexican influenced cuisine. So I recommend putting on the glass lid and setting it just askew so the steam can escape slowly, and just letting it stand for a few minutes. And now I'm going to give it a bit of a taste test. This is my moment of truth. It's very good. Delicious flavor. The rice is well cooked. The beans are tasty. A little bit on the salty side, but that's okay for this dish. Amazing. So there you go, that's the recipe. Thanks again for visiting geoffmobile.com, and I hope you enjoyed this video recipe. For more videos, please visit my website, geoffmobile.com, Jeff with a G, or subscribe to me here on YouTube. Have a great day and see you around. Don't forget to subscribe, and talk to you soon.